me just open today's sequence. Mute all, please. Yeah. So let me ask you, there is a lesser attendance in the morning. So please, guys, you should log in before I start the session, only for the reason that you don't miss out on any revision topics and all. So let me tell you what we are going to do today. So you'll have an idea. So I'm going to start after revision, after solving your assignment. If you require the solving of assignment, then only. If you say majority has done it, then I'll not bother. So URL rewriting. Then we had started with JSP directives, page directive. So I'll take you to page, some more attributes in page, then include. And then mainly we are going to spend the rest of the day in JSP actions, which are request dispatching related actions, using bean related actions, and then JSTL. I told you, JSP, we are not going to spend too much time because in the real projects, actual projects, okay, there are two reasons. One is very less coverage, weightage is given in the contents. And other main reason is you will not be using it actually in your projects for your view layer technology. So let me start asking you with this. Have you attempted yesterday's assignment, JSP based assignment? Done? Okay, so let me both done with both CP and SP. Very good. So guys, tell me, some of you are saying yes and done, but does anyone want me to solve it in the next 10-15 minutes, or majority has done it? You have to tell me here without hesitation, because that way I'll be going. Do you want me to solve it? Okay, so then let me get started without wasting time, and then we will continue with the today's session. So you must have already started doing something. Let me just open that problem statement and keep it. You also do the same thing. So you must have started something. Wherever, whatever you have not done, whatever you have not understood, catch up with me. So this is the requirement. Let us create, without wasting any minute, I'll call it as day 7 lab, because it was or I'll call it as day 7, right? Yeah, day 7 assignment. So this will give you a revision also. I'm doing it for two purposes: revision purpose also, and assignment help purpose also. So let me call it as day 7 assignment. Reduce the dynamic web module version, so you'll not find any blocking, any sluggishness, and finish. So now let's do it flow wise. So here, let's create a index.jsp with a link. All this I'm sure you must have already done. Now it is only 188. Just remind me, guys, here you keep reminding me. Thank you for that. Just before our breakfast break, I want to say a few things regarding Hibernate. Tomorrow, sometime we want to start Hibernate. So today I'll be uploading certain contents. I'll give the directions, rather instructions in what is to be done. So web.xml. This is your index page. Okay. So you are telling the container that the first page or landing page or welcome page should be index.jsp. So let's create your index.jsp with a simple link. I could have done it this way also. If you don't want to waste your time, you could say directly login.jsp and continue. I'm just following the same flow as was mentioned in the assignment. So this does not have, as already mentioned, this does not have any database, DAO layer and all that. Soon, when I take you to JSP using Java Beans, we'll bring back everything and we'll do the continuation. We'll finish that. User validation has to be done, and then we will take up the admin flow of your content management system. That is the plan for the rest of the day. Anyway, so here you know. Now the next page I have to have is login.jsp. So let me just copy it from our earlier day 7.5, 7.1, I mean. So here is login.jsp copied under root, which is map to web app. And here, now let me follow this. So here, login form, see this, has to be submitted with username and password. So I'll just change email to username. And here it will be submitted to validate.jsp. So this will be submitted to validate.jsp. I'm just sticking to the names which I have taken it in the flow diagram. And typically, you know, method should be post. And this was just done for letting you know about session ID. So you can get rid of this. And here I'll say enter username. And you can give the this thing. I mean, form field name can be anything. Name, pass, and login. 100% clear so far. We have not done anything important at all. I mean, the whole thing will be in the validation page. This is just a login form. Could have been written in HTML, but since we are learning JSP, everything we are doing in JSP. So a minute's revision. When you see %@, what is it which is going to come ahead? Is it a scripting element? Is it a directive? Or is it a JSP action? Everyone knows it is a directive. Which 3 directives you just heard of? Which are the 3 directives in JSP? There are exactly 3 directives. So 3 out of 2 I had mentioned. Okay, anyway, I just mentioned one. There is a page, there is a include. No. Import is not a directive. Import is the attribute name of a page directive. So page is one. Then there is a, this is the directive name, guys. Don't get confused. The other one which you'll see sometime after the assignment is this thing, include, and the third one is taglib. And what are the attributes of the page directive? That answer is language, content type, page encoding. Yesterday you had seen, what is that? Import, session. I'll show you about error page, is error page, all of that. Okay, so that way. So this is your, this thing. Now the main thing will be in validate.jsp. So the next page you are going to write is validate. This will be like a main page where the validation logical thing happens. Authentication, validation, whatever you call it. Now, take a look at the requirement. So here it is going to validate username using database or using some collection. Quick answers. Using the collection. Okay. So which type of collection gives you the constant time, constant time performance? A hash map, right? For searching. So hash map, I had already given all this. So what would be the generic type of the hash map? In short, what will be the key and what will be the value? Why only one answer? So many of you have solved it. String comma user. But for that, I have to write a core class, which you can call it as a plain old Java object, a Pojo. So suspend this and let us create a package Pojos, and let's create a user Pojo there. Again, I had given you create a user Pojo, and the attributes should be the data members, the state or the properties of the Pojo should be name, password, and age. So suspend this. Important statement. JSP cannot access any Java classes, any Java content if they are in the default package. I remember last week, somebody had created a servlet in a default package and it wasn't working. So guys, long back, really way back, we have already stopped writing anything in a default package. Please don't start it. So coming back to the point, src main Java, here, new, and what you're going to create is a Pojo class. So let's have the Pojos. So take it out of your mind that Pojo means it has to represent a database data. Of course, Pojo is a object representation of a database table, but just a second. But what I'm saying is, Pojo is anyway, any data it can represent. And throughout core Java, what we were doing is, we were writing core classes, so there should not be any confusion. And you know that some name, username, password. I had given very few this because soon we will be connecting it to our users table, which already exists for our content management system. Okay, so that is it. And then you have as per the POJO specification. When I say POJO specification, you will see when we actually start on Hibernate tomorrow, you will see that Hibernate does require to have the default constructor. So everyone knows if you have not added any constructor, Java compiler will add. But I'm planning to add all arguments constructor. So I added one extra. So constructor using all the fields. And then all I'm going to generate is getter, setter, and toString. And a toString. Usual stuff. toString. And wait for maybe a week when I talked about something called as a Lombok library. All this extra code will vanish. And all you will have to write is the properties and couple of annotations. So when I take you towards advanced topics in the advanced Java part, your code is going to reduce and more annotations and more instructions in the annotation form are going to come up over time. So I hope everyone is clear so far. There's nothing I have done. So there is nothing about the JSP I have done. So now validate.jsp. So here, let's have a 1-minute revision of a scripting element. Why scripting elements? To add the dynamic nature to JSP. Can you tell me which 3 different scripting elements you know? Please write in short forms. Don't waste your time and energy. Yeah, too many short forms. Scriptlet, expressions, and declarations. So now I have already given the clue. Oh, I had not given. So what we want is for constant time performance for searching, we have identified a hash map. So in which scripting element should I create a empty hash map and populate it with some user records? Your choices, scriptlet, expression, or declaration. Still people are saying scriptlet. That means you have solved it in the wrong manner. Guys, how many times scriptlet gets called? Code in the scriptlet gets called once per every request. So do you seriously want to create a map every time? Absolutely not. Are you getting it? So of course it has to be done in a life cycle method, which gets called exactly once in the beginning. Which is that life cycle method in the JSP? Don't say init. It's a wrong answer. JSP init. Guys, we are in a JSP. So JSP init with I uppercase. But which is the scripting element where I can declare this JSP init, declaration, scriptlet, or the expression? That answer is declaration. So that. Okay. So where do we add this declaration block? Within the body tag or outside? Typically as a norm outside. And when you see the translated code, which translated code? Validate underscore JSP.java for Tomcat container, you will see it will be kept outside a naturally JSP service. There's nothing like a nested methods in Java. You have nested functions in JavaScript, but we don't have nested methods in Java. Correct? So what is it we are saying is add a declaration block. And here, first you declare, you don't have to say private. We're so used to it. So I can declare directly hash map. There will be very less IntelliSense. Why? IntelliSense means auto-completion. Why? Because this is a JSP editor. So in JSP, ideally speaking, what should you write? Business logic or presentation logic or both or neither? Only presentation logic. Okay, so you'll get very less help and we will just manage for first 10-15 minutes till I complete it. And as quickly as possible, I want to start you with Java Beans. So till then, of course, everyone knows the import attribute Import is the attribute of the page directive. Don't get confused. Okay, and you have already told me string comma user. So control space, pick up the user from Pojos. So let's say users. So whatever you declare in this is added as the, if you don't add the static keyword, it is added as the instance variable of the translated page class. Got it? Now, which is the method which gets called first time in the life of JSP is JSP init. Guys, one more thing. If you recall the JSP API, the starting interface, the root interface is still servlet, extended by JSP page, extended by HTTP JSP page. So init method is also available, but we use init typically in servlet scenarios. So I insist on JSP init. You can always add SOP and all, but we have done this. So let me not waste your time. So a hash map. Okay. And everyone knows the put method, and the put method is, let's say something, it's a name, right? So suppose I say name and new user. I don't get the IntelliSense, you know that. And what I have is the name, password, and the age. Okay. So this was what I asked you to add couple of users just for just as a sample data, you know that. Something. We've been doing it all our core Java days. Okay. Something. So how many times JSP container will call this JSP init method? Exactly once at the beginning. So your hash map is created in an empty manner and it was populated also. You got it? So it is like a launching phase, init phase, done. Now look at the requirement. After the form is submitted, the request will be sent to this JSP. So where should we write the validation logic? Same choices: declaration, expression, EL syntax, or your scriptlet. What is it? Of course, any core Java logic where we used to write in a servlet in a do star method. What is it equivalent to here? JSP service underscore JSP service. But can we really override the JSP service? Answer is no. But whatever you write in a scriptlet and an expression and an EL syntax and all goes in that. So accordingly, understand the JSP syntax and write it. Code wise, you already know. So this is where we are going to write your validation logic. Okay. So here, validation as in authentication logic. So this we have written literally tons of times. So I'll say string username, anything. Now here, can I use my EL syntax such as dollar, curly braces, param.name? Can I use the EL syntax? It's a mute all, guys. Of course not. When you write a scriptlet, it is a plain old pure Java code. So you have to go all the way request.get parameter. So you can see there's a classic mix-up. Prince, you are unmuted, so please mute yourself. So here, this thing, what is it called? This is pure business logic. So later means just immediately later, when I start you on beans, all this will go away. I mean, all this will go there. Okay. So here, what was that? I forgot the name. I think it is name. Yeah. So you just have to match it. And similarly, you can have the password. Is it pass here? Yeah, I don't want to waste time in simple things like this. So now we have been doing this validation for so many days. So, okay, so how do you do this? So username is the key here. Okay, we are making an assumption that usernames are unique. So what should be the first method I should use? Some of you have done it. I want to do the validation to check username and password are correct or not. So what is this? Yeah, the get method, simple. So here I'll say user I'm not sure yet it is a valid user or not. We'll confirm. And in goes the key and out comes the name, users.get and username. Correct? If it is not null, if get method will return a null if the key is not found, if the entry is not found, that particular key. So if valid user is not equal to null, then you go further and check the password, right? But in the else branch, what does else branch means? Username is valid. Username is invalid, password is invalid, both invalid. What is it? Else branch means what? Username is invalid. So here, when we have the HTML markup, don't write out.print. If you have written dot this thing it, but I am doing it with a HTML way. So here, anytime you want to come out of a scriptlet, even a one-liner, curly braces are required. And here, I'm writing another scriptlet to close this. And here, I'll say in the else branch, I'm just giving a link. What is the link href? So href can be, this is a new user, so register. I'm not asked you this, I'm just saying. And the message I'll say is invalid username or username does not exist. Do you want to register? Okay, so here, see the whole thing. When you are writing, when you are mixing presentation logic, and business logic, let me ask you, what will you call is PL or BL? The highlighted one. What will you, it's a presentation logic, it's a response generation logic. But what will you call this? A business logic, validation logic. And you are mixing it still. So you can see opening brackets, closing brackets, all mixed up. This is the reason people strongly suggest no scriptlets. But since we have not done the advanced part, today we'll start with the advanced part. Everything will go away. Okay, so do you want to register? Okay, so coming back. So now this is the else branch done. Now check the password. How do you do the checking of password? Everyone knows. If valid user dot get password dot, never do it double equal to, you'll get a wrong result. Equals content, I mean you are checking the contents of two strings, of course has to be equals with what? PWD. So in this case it is a successful login success. Now in this else branch, are you understanding? So here again we are having a else branch. Oh, and since again I don't want to do it. So here closing the scriptlet. And here opening the scriptlet to have this else branch. Even one line you want to add, you have to do this. Okay. And in this else branch, yes, please. So if the password is not matching, what will be the link you will supply? Invalid username or invalid password? Of course, invalid password. And here you can say, please retry. Or, okay, the same manner. Do you want to retry? And here you can take the user to login page. Okay. So we have taken care of, you'll say where you have register page. We'll just add a register page and we'll say it is under construction. I did not ask you to do the login and registration both. That we will do with the actual case study, not here. Okay. So finally you come to the login success. Tell me, are the else branches clear? I mean, where you have the new user, so please register, or invalid password, please retry, etc. Now, here, once you have this, again I had given, store these details, entire user details in a what? What is it called? In a suitable, this, I'll mention. So login success means store user details in the suitable scope, and I'm solving your class, this thing, clan pool. Clan pool 2, which is the redirect scenario we are going to use. So anyone wants to tell me, which is the minimum scope required to add the attributes? Everyone has got it fine. The moment I say server pool, even in server pool, because later we had a link, I'll check. Some of you said you have done it both. So I'll discuss more on this in the lab. So here, do you have to say request.get session, or do you already have the session as an implicit object? You have it. So session dot set attribute, and you can, as usual, say any attribute name. So you remember we took a lot of time yesterday in discussing HTTP session internals. So when this particular line is executed, it is a map. Can you see this? It has a key and it has a value. So the entry will be added in which map? That outer map holding the HTTP sessions, or in the innermost map, the attribute holder innermost map. Everyone is realizing it. That diagram, keep it in front of you. I had given you a better option. Draw it yourself for your content management system, whatever, for user DAO, topic DAO and all, and you will have a clear-cut idea. So coming back to the point, this is done. And now session.set attribute. So one entry is made, key, user details, and valid user is a pointer reference to your user portion. And we don't have a database. We have just lifted the details, including name, password, and age from your map. Okay, all set. Now you just have to do the redirect. So what is it we are having is response.send redirect. And the next page, what was the next page we decided? Details.jsp. So here we are redirecting from one page to, one JSP to another JSP. So tell me, once you say send redirect, what is the first thing your container will do? Clear, discard JSP writers buffer, that is response buffer, and sends the dynamic response, sends the empty temporary redirect response, and it is the client browser. Okay, before I say that, it has two headers, two important headers. Which will be the two headers in the redirect response when I write this? Anyone? Location and set cookie. What will be the location value set to details.jsp? And with what will be the name of the cookie it will send? What will be the name of the cookie? JSession ID. And the value will be container generated unique long string, 1 per client. So tell me, I think we are done on this page. Is this page clear completely? The validate. Now it is easy. Now we can use nicely your EL syntax and all the shortcut. So this is what. Oh, what I'll do is I will keep the register page also. I don't want you to see that 404. And since we are not building it, we just give some sorry kind of a message. This I had not asked you. I know that. So I'll say page under construction. We have not finished this. Okay. So now coming back to which page we said details. So what you had to do is, what was asked was display validated user details and already given the clue. So for the retrieval purposes, best is your, simplest is your, easy part is your EL syntax. So let's write a details page. Okay. So just follow the requirements here. So I want to display the whole details here. So in addition to that, we can give a login successful message. And you can add here. This is just a test case. I mean, just to get you familiar with the JSP syntax. Validated user details. The EL syntax should come from you. You give me. EL syntax is all about the maps. Container gives the names to different maps, creates different maps, and you just have to access the details. Anyone wants to give me that? $session scope.user details. Absolutely correct. But Here, if I say, if I'm too lazy, a programmer, and if I say simply, tell me, user details, will it work or will it not work? 100% it will work, but on which attempt? It will, container will have to search. Will it directly search in the session scope attribute map? Of course not. First in page, then the request scope, and third one it will search here. So that is why what you have suggested is what I'm going to pick up. Give container the name of the map to search. So now how many searches it will invest? Only one search. This is the map, that inner map, which I had shown in my diagram. And here it is equivalent Java code is session.get attribute. In goes the attribute name user details. Out comes the value user pojo reference. Its toString will be called, which we have already overridden, and the result will be sent back to the client browser. Everyone completely clear? Yes, it is time consuming, Darish. You got it so far? So now I just want to give a link here. So adding links and all becomes so easy since we are having a HTML markup. Presentation logic writing is more than easy. So let me just, I just copied the link. So what is the link here? Logout. So logout.jsp. Okay. So this is your link. Everyone still clear? The only interesting thing in this page was accessing the EL syntax. Next one. So when the client clicks on this logout, I told you what all has to be done. And here again, we are going to use, I've not said, but you know, I had mentioned it yesterday. You don't require any scriptlet expressions, even though they will work. We just want to, I just want to give you more practice on two things. EL, rather three things. EL, Java Beans, and JSTL in the whole of today. So let's write your logout page. And web app, new, logout. Okay. So here I want to give the hello followed by, do I want to display all the details or only username? Answer is only username. Okay, get me that EL syntax. Give me that EL syntax, which will give us only the username. Session scope user date, username. Absolutely correct. So the point to understand, guys, EL syntax, when you say dot and some name, it takes it as a property name and automatically calls the getter. So start with the EL syntax. No extra white spaces, please. So I'm deleting the white space. Now you have an attribute by the name. What is the name of it? User details. Everyone knows that. We have already added the attribute in the earlier request. So user details. But you know that if I write user details, container doesn't know which map to search. So we are giving here what is the name of the map to search in. Understand it very well, because the next topic, whenever I start Java Beans, you will see Java Bean is nothing but an attribute. But who is going to create it, you know? Not, I mean, you are not going to create it as a programmer. Web container will create it for us and using zero Java code. So all topics are like connected. So session scope.user details. So this has returned you user pojo reference. Now open user and just adding a property, the field is not sufficient. But have I got this getter? Answer is yes. So see closely what I'm doing. So I just copy pasted this and here dot here. But since EL syntax can automatically call getters, do you really require it in an explicit form? Absolutely not. So how to convert it into property name? Remove the get. Since it is not a method I want to call, I just want to refer to it as a property. Internally getter will be called. And this is when I said, guys, long back, naming convention is so important. Trust me, I get so many queries during the project phase. And sometimes, and of course, people feel frustrated that I'm trying something and it's not working. And I have found out the mistake was in part of the naming convention. They had not followed the proper camel casing. So container was not reading the data at all. You understood what I'm saying? Everyone knows camel casing. Start the property with the lowercase and uppercase the letters and generate the getters. Okay, so now solve it from left to right. So what this will call in our familiar Java code, session.getAttribute. In goes the user details, out comes the user POJO reference. And when you say dot username, which method container will call? Getter or a setter? G or S? It's a getter. And getter of the class. Prince, you are still unmuted. Please mute yourself. So you will have a getter, which method will be called get username, and whatever is the value of the username will be sent to the client browser. So with EL syntax, things become so easy. Now, next is lab faculty, somebody on the call, please mute all. This one. Now I want to invalidate the session. So how do you invalidate the session? Which is the method for invalidating the session? Everyone knows it. HTTP session has the method invalidate. I can't all. Oh, I can mute all. Okay, so I just have to, okay, so if I want to call that session.invalidate, can I call it from JSP expression? I can't. It's a void returning. So here you will have to write a scriptlet. And here you can say the API you know already, session.invalidate. And then you can generate your messages and all that. You have logged out successfully or you have something logged out. And here we can add a link here for visit again types. Later, I'll show you automatic redirection. I mean, after a 5 seconds delay or 10 seconds delay, whatever delay you want to add, we can automatically navigate the client back to the login page. There's a refresh header and all. So over time, I'll show you all these techniques. So maybe you can go all the way back to index page, or you can take him to the login page, your choice. And here in the register page, I'll just give a backlink. And this back will take him to, you can check whatever. Okay, so I think we are done here. We'll just check it. And once I've checked it, I'll share this code with you. So let's try running this. In case something is missing, we'll look at it. Next, remove all, finish. As a standard practice, watch the console before you start anything. The console should be all error-free. There should not be any error. If there is any error, first fix that error and then you go there. Go to the client browser. So let me start with the user login. I don't have such a user. Oh, something went wrong. Why there was a blank page? Should have gone to the, no, I missed out something. So let me see. It has gone to, it's somewhere I've messed up. Don't just sit there, guys. Tell me when I make a mistake. So let's see. This is the if-else problem looks like. So username, have I got the username and all correctly? Check it. Name and pass, validate.jsp, name and pass, users.get. If valid user is not equal to null, so I check this, I should be in the else branch. So this is inner if, this is that if outer, and here in that else branch, invalid username. I should have seen this link. Line number 40. I messed up in line number 40. Oh yeah, I have messed up in line number 40. Thanks. So here, I did not open the scriptlet. Okay. So that else part was not in the scriptlet at all. Okay, so yeah. So it is of course unknown this, and we don't have this. So we come back here and let's try with the correct username but wrong password, which is what, Rama something. I'll give the wrong password. I'm just checking. So yes, I want to retry. Password is now correct password 1234. Everyone knows redirect. So in the next request, temporary redirect response is sent and a new request comes, which is visiting the details page. So are we remembering the client details here? Absolutely yes. Nobody shows password, but this is like a dummy, I mean, very, very basic example. So you are getting all the details here. And the only option we have given currently is logging out. And as you can see, you are remembering the client using HTTP session scope or, session scope, and the whole flow is clear. Understood? The whole exercise was done so that everyone, those who have done it, those who have not done it, understands it well. Is it clear, the whole discussion, guys? Okay. So now let me just make a zip. Those who have done it, those who have got their own what? Their own web project, you ignore whatever I'm sharing. Otherwise, take this. I'm going to continue with this for something called as URL rewriting. It's a connected topic. That's why. So let me. But like I'm saying, some of you, which is very good, excellent, have already done it. So they continue with their own project. That was the statement I made. Okay. So I've sent you this. If you need, you take it or continue with your own code. So now I'm giving you the instructions. This was the server pull. I'm so sorry. This was a client pull I meant. In server pull, all you change is redirect to request dispatcher forward, and then you can change the scopes. I'm not discussing that now. So let me start giving you instructions. You can stop the server if you want or keep it open, doesn't matter. So let us start with the first topic of today. I've said that it is a URL rewriting, but don't worry what it is. As usual, we'll first see the problem and then fix it. So copy either your yesterday's solution or the one which I've shared into. Oh, look at this. Where is that delete option? I don't have that. Okay, I have that. By mistake, I made a copy of this. I wanted to copy the day 7 assignment. Okay, so let's copy it into day 8.1. You copy it into day 8.1 class. After copying, first thing is change project settings. I mean, context root. So here, change it to day 8.1. Tell me. Done? Can I continue? Just copy either your assignment solution or the one which I have sent you. Now, extract and import. Let me know whenever you are ready. Only one done. What about others? It's just a copy of the project which you have created. Okay, anyway, I'm giving you instructions. So it is just a project which we tested a minute ago. But now you are going to test it with cookies disabled. Okay, so here go to the client-side browser and open the settings here. Search for cookies and other site data. And here, sites that can never use cookies, add it as, in my case, it is local host. And I'm giving a port number additionally as 9090, localhost colon 9090. So will this client, as in will this client browser, web browser, will it accept the cookies from our website, which is hosted on localhost 9090? Answer is no. Got me so far? Now, let me close that earlier one and let me run the latest project, 8.1, run on server. Next, remove all. So I'm keeping only the 8.1, finish. Check the console as always. There are no DAOs and all that. And now start testing. Are the cookies disabled? I hope they are. See, can you see where my cursor is? It tells you cookies blocked. Okay, so continue blocking the cookies. I say fine. Okay, so cookies are blocked here. You can see it right here. And now I'm saying, let me give the correct details. Rama with whatever. I don't know what your credentials are. And tell me, are in the absence of cookies, is your HTTP session tracking working fine? Meaning, are you able to remember the client across multiple requests or session tracking has failed? Observe it yourself and tell me. Session tracking has 100% failed. So let me ask you meaningful questions. Is web container sending that set cookie header containing the JSession ID to the web browser still? Only one answer. Multiple 200 answers I'm looking for. If not 200, at least 10-20 answers. Of course, yes. Is client browser saving that cookie either in the cache or the hard disk or anywhere at all? Is client browser saving it? Absolutely not. Why? Because we have blocked the cookies. See this. It has blocked the cookies, right? Cookies are blocked from, I mean, you're not accepting the cookies. You're not trusting this website maybe. So are the cookies getting stored anywhere? Absolutely not. So when the redirect request, the next request comes to the details.jsp, will it have the cookie header or will it not have the cookie header? It won't have the cookie header. We have traced the network traffic completely. So I'm not wasting today's time. We have already done it in a very detailed manner in the last week. So in that case, now you know that, open that HTTP session internals diagram. And here we are not in a servlet, we are in the JSP. So for every JSP, is session tracking implicitly enabled or you have to enable it explicitly? Implicitly enabled means what? For every JSP, including details.jsp, which is the code container will call, like how we were calling it in the servlet, request.getSession. So when you call, not you, when the container calls request.getSession, what is the actual Java code container will call? Quickly. I've spent a lot of time yesterday in your lab session explaining request.getCookies. Guys, always get into the habit of not just having a method, invoker.method name. That completes your answer in the interview. So what will be correct answer? Request.getCookies. But what will request.getCookies return? Null or not null? Of course, null. Why? Because the cookies are all blocked. And the moment your this thing, what is it called? Web container doesn't get a JSession ID, cookie based, will it treat you as a fresh client, new client, or existing client? New or existing? New. So even though in that web containers heap, there is a HTTP session object, the container has lost the key to that data structure. Understood the statements which I made? The HTTP session object exists. It has that user details, but the container has simply lost the key because the key does not come from the client in form of a cookie. Understood or not understood? Understood all the statements? Keep that HTTP session internals diagram in front of you. So what is the limitation? What is it we were saying in the last week till today and this week also? Your entire session tracking, be it servlet based, be it JSP based, fails miserably the moment cookies are disabled. Agreed? Accepted? Understood? Okay. So now I am taking you to the third technique in session tracking, where HTTP session API is all the same. But I'm introducing you the concept of URL rewriting. So let me say this. Your web container is not getting the cookies. It's not getting the J session ID from the cookie. So is there any alternative to getting the J session ID? Answer is yes. And that answer is URL. So we are starting an extremely interesting topic by the name URL rewriting. I'll send you that help file regarding URL rewriting. Make a mental note to read it. I mean, I'm solving whole of it, but it has to be done as a revision later. So let me send you this readme. The name of the readme itself is regarding URL rewriting. And let's start the reading part. Read the whole highlighted part slowly and I'll explain it word by word. I mean, line by line. Again, they have not mentioned it anywhere in the J2E contents. But the point is, it is such an important technique that I don't feel we should skip it just because it is not in the contents. So let us start reading it together. So what is the new technique we are using today is HTTP session, same, zero changes, but that we are adding a URL rewriting technique. So everything starts with why you are learning URL rewriting. We want to develop a web application which can run even when the cookies are disabled, even when the cookies are blocked. Okay, so if you want to develop a cookieless application, cookie independent application, and you want to do the session tracking, you have this. So now read this paragraph very carefully because that is the answer here. For tracking the client means for remembering the client across multiple requests, which is the only information which your web container needs. Already there is an answer. J session ID value. The moment your container gets the value, containers get the J session ID. You don't remember, open that HTTP session internal. There is an outer map. So container will simply say outer.get. In goes that J session ID value. Out comes your HTTP session and tracks the client. But now, if the client browser is not sending this J session ID using cookie, do we have an alternate or are we doomed? Answer is we have an alternate. So the same API is there in servlet as well as JSP programming. JSP is nothing but a translated servlet. So what you can do is, you as a programmer, you can embed is the word, you can add, insert, embed is the better word, JSession ID into each outgoing URL. When I say each outgoing URL, you don't require it for server pool because the navigation entirely happens in the server side. But will you require it for your client pool one? Clicking on a button, clicking on a link? 100% yes. The client pool means more requests, multiple requests. Will you require it in a redirect scenario? 100% yes. So you will need to encode this URL. What is URL encoding, URL rewriting? I'll come to that. So where all you will require it in CP1, client pool 1, as well as client pool 2. So in client pool 1, you might have a link href, or you might be clicking on a form, submit button, so form action. Or when we talk about redirect, you have a redirect location. So this we will be appending with JSession ID information. So in a nutshell, in a single line, what is this so-called meaning? What is URL rewriting? It's extremely simple. Encoding the URL so as to contain the JSession ID information. So we have the original URL, will be simply appending the JSession ID information to it. Once you do that, how does web container work? Will web container give the priority to cookie-based JSession ID or the URL-based JSession ID? Answer is right here. Here, always container gives the priority to cookie-based JSession ID. But if it doesn't find, will it give up in treating you as a fresh client or creating a HTTP session object? Of course not. If the container is not getting the JSession ID information from the incoming request header and the cookie, it will check the URL and it will find out, is it having some, can it extract JSession ID information from the encoded URL? If the answer is your client has blocked the cookies and you have not done the URL rewriting, then tell me, will session tracking work or will it fail? If you have done neither, no cookies and no URL writing, that is what you saw just now. Of course, session tracking will fail. But if web container says, I don't care whether you are sending it from the cookie or the incoming URL, it doesn't really matter. It just needs the JSession ID value as the key to that outer map. Okay, so once it gets it, whether it is a cookie based or whether it is a URL rewriting based, extracted it from URL, same thing works. What is that same thing? Outer map dot get, in goes the value of a JSession ID and out comes the HTTP session reference. Understood the basic technique? How part is more than easy. How part, the API is really easy in J2E. It takes a extra minute to understand the concept. So is everyone clear with URL rewriting? And like I said, after you try it out, you will find it is so easy. So finally, how to? So the answer is in Servlet API. So here there are, whose API, whose method? HTTP servlet response method. Later you can refer to Java docs. So they have given you two different methods. One for client pool 1, which is, user is involved, clicking on a link, clicking on a button. And one is for the redirect scenario. So look at the method names. What is the method name? The method name itself is encode URL. What goes in is the original URL, which could be the href, which could be the, form action and thing. And what it returns is original URL appended by JSession ID value. But guys, how that JSession ID is appended is container specific. Means what? Tomorrow, if you run this web application on, let's say, WebLogic, same API will work 100%, but actually how the appending happens is container specific. So this I have given you, which I have observed over time for Tomcat. So that was one. And the other method for using encoding the URLs in the redirect scenario is the method name itself changes to encode redirect URL, and you just have to supply the redirect location. What goes in is the original redirect URL, and what it returns is the encoded URL containing original URL containing the JSession ID value. Are both methods clear? Encode URL and encode redirect URL. So let us use it and make your application cookieless. Cookieless as in independent of cookies. And then I'll show you something yet more interesting fact. If you re-enable the cookies, then what happens? All these things are extremely interesting, but observe and conclude. Let me not say this all. Okay. So open that, open the whatever, open your project. And now I'll start asking you systematically. So SRC main web app. What is the welcome page? Index.jsp. So do you want to do the URL rewriting here? Do you want to start remembering the client from this page? You don't, right? So there's no need. Comes the login page. Again, it's just a login form. So open the validate.jsp. And can you tell me the line number where I should apply URL rewriting? Tell me the line number, please, so that I'll know if something is reaching you at all. Line number 28, absolutely correct. Okay, so I mean anything before 31. So are you going to directly pass the path, I mean redirect location, or do you want to encode it? Of course you want to encode it. Okay, so here we'll add this encode redirect URL and then invoke send redirect. Okay, so once you understand, it happens in a minute. So which method? It is a method of HTTP servlet response. But do I have that response object as an implicit object? You know very well we have. So here, like I told you, J2EE APIs are more than easy. Spring makes it even easier. So response dot, which is the method you are going to use. A typical mistake is you use the first one. Guys, that is deprecated. Don't use the deprecated. Oh, sorry. This one is the deprecated. Use the second one. The all uppercase. This is not deprecated. And in place of URL, pass your details.jsp. Tell me. Done? All I'm doing is, instead of passing the original URL, I'm passing to send redirect the encoded version. Shall I send you this line? I don't think you require it, but still in case. So here, if the cookies are disabled, what will highlighted code return? Details.jsp appended by JSession ID value. You'll see it in a minute. Done this much? Can we continue? So this is your valid whatever login branch. So now open the details.jsp, the next part. And tell me, is there any requirement of URL rewriting here? It's a Boolean question, yes or no. Do you need to do the URL rewriting here? Of course, yes. Once the user has successfully logged in, we want to remember. So if anyone is thinking no, what will be the output? You will get this output. Why don't we try? And you'll understand. But in the logout page, you'll forget the user. Best is try it out. Okay, so I did not change anything here. So you can directly go here and just do this user login. Give the correct credentials. I've done URL rewriting only in one page. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't waste time in this. So are we remembering the client till details page? Very much yes. And guys, as my favorite statement, all answers are in the URL. So let me give you this. So the I'm giving you the example URL after rewriting. Observe. So this is your original URL. And what is it appended by? A JSession ID, which has been encoded inside the URL. So this was my opening statement. Were there any problems observed in the client pool if the cookies were disabled? We saw that. So what was that problem? Session tracking failed. Right? And the solution is nothing but the URL rewriting. Okay. So now click on log me out and tell me, are you getting the username or have you forgotten the username? I mean, is it a blank or not blank? It is blank. And when does your browser, this thing, or your EL syntax gives you any blank? Whenever it comes across null. So that is a clear-cut indication that you have done one half correctly, but the second page is still, it's still having a problem. Understood, everyone? Not only those who are trying, those who are just trying to understand. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, great. Now that is why we said that this link, also any outgoing URL, any response URL has to be appended with JSession ID. So tell me, is this a client pool 1, CP1 or CP2? Which scenario it is? CP1. So which method you would like to use? Response dot encode URL or encode redirect URL? Encode URL. And URL is full capital uppercase. The one which if you say lowercase, it is a deprecated one. Guys, I have observed that for Tomcat, any method works. But as I kept mentioning, somebody was telling me earlier for register out parameter, as much as possible, stick to the Java docs. Because in the next version or when you run it on some other server, it may fail. So simple. CP1, encode URL. CP2, encode redirect URL. Keep it clear and easy. So here, I can do it in a complex manner, percent equal to and all. I mean, JSP expression I'm going to use, or we can do it in a simple manner. So I'm just thinking what will be easier. Okay, let's open a scriptlet, easy. And here you declare a method local variable. You can call it as anything. And now we will use the other API. Which API? Response.encode URL. Don't use the deprecated one. Use the all uppercase one. And which is the URL we are going to pass here? Everyone knows the answer. Next. We have this. Okay. So if you SOP the value of the URL, what it will contain? The encoded URL logout.jsp appended with JSession ID. So now, how do I pass? Okay, if I write it here like this, what will I get? 404 or the output? You will 100% get 404 because there is nothing by the name URL here. So do I want to give the URL or the value of the URL? It's the value of the URL. Are you understanding it? So since it is a method local variable, which is a simpler way out, JSP expression or EL syntax? Easier way out. No, yesterday I had taken this example. EL syntax is better for attributes and calling methods. Here, easiest way out will be your JSP expression. So percent equal to, and here you add the URL. Okay. So now it's like our React, I mean JSX, JavaScript, forget JSX, curly braces, and that will give the dynamic expression value and put it to whatever value or whatever you are using. So here it will extract the value and then you go to the log me out. So last question, we'll check it in a minute. Last question is, do you want to pass this link also through the URL redirect? Do you want to encode this link? It's a yes or no Boolean. 100% no. Because do you want to remember the client after he or she is logged out? Definitely not. Got it? So I'll send you this in case you want. So I purposefully took this example where I get a chance to show you encoding of URL in either of the scenarios, client pull 1, client pull 2. And if you have done this, just save this all and run this again and check. So this was anyway working. And you can keep noting, noting is in noticing. So I'm remembering my first two digits, 31. First observation. Are you remembering the client till the logout page? Check it out at your end. Are you or are you not? 100% you will. And why? Because the J session ID is still getting appended with naturally the same digits. And here, of course, you can run it with parallel clients. Let's run it with two clients. So one is logged in as, for example, Rama. Whatever you do, you should always test it with multiple clients. And here, let me disable the cookies. Block the cookies. Localhost :9090. Add. And then I will. So we have rejected the cookie, I hope. Localhost 9090 day 8.1. User login. Let me log in as some other user. You can log in as Rama as well, you know that. I'm just showing you. So let's say Mihir and 4234. And as you can see here, you can see a notification here. This page was prevented from setting the cookies, but still, are you remembering two different HTTP session objects managed with URL rewriting? And when the one of the client is logging out, you are remembering, check it out by disabling the cookies on multiple browsers. You are remembering the client and the whole approach works perfectly fine. So here, now I'm trying to log them out. So as per the rules of session tracking, you are able to identify the client separately. You're not mixing up the details and you are remembering the client from login to logout. Got the observations? Got the same observations? Understood about URL rewriting completely? Yes or no? I didn't understand your question, Daneshwar. Why did we disable the cookie? The whole question started with that. If the client doesn't trust you, client is going to disable the cookies. So in that case, do you want the web application to fail or do you want that web application to continue? Daneshwar, I'm talking to you. Anyone can answer. You want it to fail, then you have not understood it. Talk to me separately in the lab session. The whole idea is to make the web application cookieless. Where were you? Did you join us later? A little late because I've been building a story throughout. So I want to write.
Hello, ma'am.
Don't interrupt the
Okay,
statement,
okay,
please. Let
sorry.
me say my piece. We started on the note that we wanted to develop a web application which will work, which will track the client independent of cookies. So the URL rewriting. Now you tell me what you're saying.
Ma'am, my question was that why we disable, because using redirecting we are getting session ID, no? So what is it?
You're not understanding the basics, Jnaneshwar.
Okay.
As a server-side programmer, see, we are on the back end. We are a server-side developer, you and me, right?
Hmm.
So tell me, will you be in the real life, will you be able to control the clients that you should enable or you should disable the cookies? Can sitting on the server side, not just Jnaneshwar, anyone can answer. Can you really control the client-side policies? It's a basic question, Jnaneshwar. Of course not. And that
Yes.
is why I'm showing you the way out, that even if the client has rejected the cookies, my web application should not fail. And that
Okay.
solution is URL rewriting.
Yes,
Understood me,
ma'am.
management?
Yes, ma'am. Good.
Okay, that was the basic point which you missed out totally. So now guys, let us re-enable the cookies and observe and conclude. So it becomes very easy. I'm on what, Chrome? Anywhere you can just click on this. Can you see this cookie? So here, allow the cookie. So I'm saying it is asking me to reload. So fine. So currently, is Chrome browser accepting the cookie or not accept or blocking the cookie? In my case, you also do the same thing. It is accepting the cookie. Got it? Now run this. Have we changed any code? Is our code still having the URL rewriting, such as encode URL, encode redirect URL? Very much yes. So here, whatever, I mean, log in with some client. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. And first things first, are we remembering the client? Of course, yes. But the answers are in the URL. Is the moment the container started getting the cookie, I'm so sorry, the JSession ID from the cookie, is it still continuing with URL rewriting or is it suppressing URL rewriting? Continuing or suppressing? It is suppressing the URL rewriting. See the smartness or see the working of the container. The moment the cookies are enabled, the moment your web container starts getting the JSession ID from the cookie, it stops doing the URL rewriting because it knows that it doesn't require it anymore. And when you say log me out, in the very similar manner, of course, the whole application is working. But in this case now, how your web container is getting the JSession ID? Is it cookie based or is it a URL based? It is a cookie based. And some things you cannot, I mean, not read. Like, so please open. I was going to resist this, but there's no point in resisting Java docs ever. Like, so open the J2E docs, search for, because it is so well explained, so nicely explained there. You just have to read it. Open that HTTP servlet response, and you can look for encode URL. You can use anything, of course. Use the non-deprecated one. Read along. So encodes the specified URL by including the session ID. You saw that. Everyone saw that. Or if read this twice. If encoding is not needed, will it still do the URL rewriting part or will it send back the original URL? Original URL. Once you see the things start making sense. So they have given you an example. If the browser is supporting the cookies, or okay, so let me say one by one. If the browser is supporting the cookies, will your web container still perform URL encoding or suppress? It will suppress it, it will stop. Or if you have disabled the session tracking, how? By using page directive session equal to false. You want to disable the session tracking, then URL encoding will not be performed. So this is all about, there's one more statement I want to make, but this is the story, or this is what the concept about URL rewriting. So generally I get a question at this point. So anyone wants to ask me any question, because if it comes from you, it is always best. Otherwise, of course, I'll highlight. Regarding URL rewriting, any more question, anything which you don't like, or anything which you want to like say. That long gestation ID, come on, that is beyond you. Beyond you and me, it comes from the container. I mean, you are on the wrong track. Yes, Kunal is right. It is 100. No. It's not a client permission, Kunal. JSession, you are partially right, partially wrong. Read his statement. It is 100% a whole security leak, but not the reason. It is not without client permission, See guys, you are not disturbing any cookie policies. You are sending out the URLs. I mean, sorry, the J session ID in the URL, you are reading it back. So nothing about client permission, but there is a famous attack, what do you say, security attack. I don't know again whether you have read it. If not, Google it today. Session fixation attack, session stealing attack, identity theft attack. Okay. So listen to this. If you are sending, see, on the local host, it doesn't matter because client is also here, server is also here. But in real life, where will be client? Anywhere in the world, and your server will be, I mean, remote server could be in the cloud or wherever. So between client and the server, is it a point-to-point connectivity, or there can be in between the routers and the switches and hubs in networking? Of course, there are middlemen. So if a hacker gets access to your URL, which contains the JSession ID, can he or she, a hacker can be her also, can she steal your identity? Can she steal your session ID and mimic? Mimic means simulate as you. 100% yes. And then you can get access to whatever data which is kept in the session on the server side. So what is the solution? Anybody? You want to use URL rewriting, but you don't want to open it to security attacks, session theft, I mean identity theft or session stealing. Answer is HTTPS. So there are two ways people follow, the website developers. Either force the client, you must have seen it. They will tell you immediately that if you want to use our website, please accept the cookies. Otherwise it doesn't continue. So that is your cookie based. Or otherwise, there is a very, I won't say easy or difficult, but there is a way to change all HTTP URLs to HTTPS, which time permitting. See, all I'm saying is time permitting. That is all it is. I'll show you in Spring Security. Because anyway, we are going to secure your web application using basic authentication towards the end of our training together. So at that time, if time permits, I'll show the demo from scratch as we do, or otherwise I'll share the ready-made demos, which will definitely help you in projects. So coming back to the point, if you insist on URL rewriting, should you continue with HTTP protocol or should you change it to HTTPS? 100% you should change it to HTTPS, but that involves enabling HTTPS, that involves public certificates, I mean, public key, private key, all those encryption techniques. Okay, so the point is, if you have either of it. So either you say, no, I'm going to send the cookie in a secured manner. That also, by the way, you can send it on HTTPS, or you can go HTTPS plus URL rewriting. So both the options are, I've just suggested the options. We will, time permitting, I'll show you, change from HTTP to HTTPS. The moment you have changed it to HTTP or SSL, any hacker, any man in middle will just get some garbage. I mean, unless until the hacker has a private key. There's a public key, private key, the encryption algorithms. So unless until you have the access to private key, you won't be able to decode anything. So that is the standard known problem and the known solution. So this was all about, of course, today we are not applying HTTP to HTTPS. We'll do it later, permitting time. I mean, time permitting. So coming back to the point again, understood about URL rewriting, the technique and the implementation. Okay. So let us continue now to seeing JSP directive, page directive, I guess we were in, and continue. So I'm continuing with the same JSP README. I have already shared it with you. Directive I wanted to search for. So this was, just what do you say, a diversion, URL rewriting part. So we have already talked and we had already discussed till error page. So which are the two attributes for error handling, centralized error handling approach in JSP? You know that. One is error page which is where you have to supply the URI, the path of the error handling page. And how do you tell container whatever follows is an error page? There is an attribute of a page directive is error page. Everyone remembers it? Have you gone through it? Have you revised it? So I had shown you the easy way. I had shown you percent equal to exception or exception dot get message. But there are even more. I mean, you can see the so many EL syntax can do the job. So take a look at it. So when I say EL syntax, I don't have to write even exception dot get message. No Java code is required. So solve this. I've given what it evaluates to also, which is the EL implicit object, which holds the references to all other exception objects, to all other implicit objects. It is the page context. I told you, page is not important, page context is important. So when I solve this much, what will be the internal code web container calls? A getter. So page context dot get exception. This returns you the exception object. And when you say dot message, it will evaluate to page context dot get exception dot get message, and the result will be returned. Understood this EL syntax? How it works? Just calls the getters. I hope you have already gone through it in the yesterday's revision time. But there are many more things. Okay, so root cause you may not be wanting to show, but there is additional thing. So why don't you look at it from the API docs and we'll test it. I mean, we'll try this out. So open most important class in JSP as a page context. And in page context, there is a getter called as get error data. So search for get error data. So anyone wants to tell me, if I want to call using EL syntax, page context dot get error data, give me that EL syntax, please. You understood my question? I want to call that method. Already there is answer. Page context dot get error data. Do the reverse engineering. Give me the yes. This one, the error data ka E is lowercase. Don't do the uppercase lowercase convention. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So what it will be? Dollar. You can't say directly error data. That's completely wrong because it's not an attribute. It is a getter method of page context. So dollar curly braces page context dot error data with E lowercase. Now, once you say this, you get access to entire error data object. I'll give you the equivalence. In React, when you make a Axios call, I mean backend call, you have suppose axios.get or axios.post or whatever, you get a promise, and then you have methods dot then dot error and all. So that is that error handling I'm talking about. Okay, something like try catch. So coming back to the point, once you get that error data object, which are the methods in that error data class? Get request URI, which will tell you that this is the page, this is the root cause, this is the page which has caused the problem. If it was a servlet, in MVC, we are going to bring back our servlets. So if you want to find out that this is the servlet which caused the problem, you can get that. If you want to find out that error code, status code, response status error code, 500, 400, whatever series, you can find it out. And in the rare case, if you want to send, this is really not required, but in case, if you want to get that root cause, the throwable root cause, you can get that also. So let us give it a try in a minute and continue to the next topic. So follow this, close all, Control Shift W, go to day 7.1. Don't waste time because, we have already spent time yesterday. I'll ask you to copy error handler.jsp and what was it? I forgot. Some test. This just a second. I'll just check. I don't want to write it. Test code. Yeah. So please copy error handler.jsp and test code.jsp from the yesterday's project. and paste it under 8.1 way back so that we don't have to write the whole thing again. We are definitely going to do much better this, but after I connect JSPs to Java Bean, DAOs and all that. So, and add one link here, error handling. This is what we had stopped at yesterday. I'm continuing with that. So here I'm saying it's a centralized error handling in JSP. And the link name can be, the page I have copied is test4. Okay. If you want, I can give you the zip of this also in a minute. Just a second, test4. And I'm just checking it and will give you this shortly. So error handling.jsp, error message. Yeah, looks fine. So let me create a zip here so that nobody has any confusion. Starting point, same. Page context dot error data, Kunal. There is no round brackets. There is no method after that. It's just it is treated as a property. So there is a mistake in your EL syntax. No parenthesis, please. It's treated as a property. Write it, access it as a property. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, so just take it in case you want. And now I have just added a link. So the flow is the same. So when I click on this link, a next request will be sent to test4.jsp. In test4, we have done the intentional mistake, divide by 0. So, so container takes charge. The moment I have set the error page here, container will automatically forward, I said forward in the same request to error handler.jsp. And in error handler.jsp, which is the page directive attribute to tell the client that whatever follows is an error page, this is your is error page equal to true. And yesterday we had stopped here. So now let us add some more information. So I just want to show you that error data part. So suppose you want to print the URI of error causing page. So this method is get request URI in error data, but error data is embedded in the page context. So can I access page context from your EL syntax? It's a Boolean question. Yes or not? 100% yes. So start with this $curly braces, remove the white space. And here, this part doesn't come with the auto completion, but see the what is it working. The moment you say dot, you'll definitely get a pop-up. And do you see the third property as error data? So that is why I said you just are going to use dot error data, but what is it container going to call inside? It is treated as a property. Property is read using a getter. So click on dot error data. What will be the code container will call? Page context dot get error data. Say dot again. And now you will see all these getters are treated as properties. So if I want to find out the requesting URI, now tell me, what will be it from left to right? Page context, no round brackets, no nothing. Dot get error data, E will be uppercase, error data ka E will be uppercase. Dot get request URI, R will be uppercase. So without you writing any getters, any Java code, you are getting the value. So all these examples I've written in my README. So suppose I want to now say the error code. I can show you the exception part also, but currently I'll show you this. So suppose I want to, which error code? It could be, it should be one more. Response code 500. If you want to see that, you tell me now. I'll give you a minute. Yes, Anshumala, you were right. So tell me the response error code. Answers are all there in the API docs. So you just want to call the method get status code on error data. Type out. It's all IntelliSense based, auto completion based. I want the answer using the, of course, EL syntax. Let's see. So page context dot error data dot status code, very right. So start in the same manner. Page context is the holder of all other implicit objects plus error data dot choose the error data dot choose the status code. And what will be the actual getters? It will call page context dot get error data dot get status code. And if you want throwable error stack, you can get that. But like I said, that is what we did not want. We did not want to send it to the client. So we are just sending the limited information to the client. So if you just go here and if you just refresh and not change the color. So the error causing page, this is again good, not good for client, but for the server side developers. I just wanted to show you little more on the EL syntax. So this error page, error causing page is test4, and the error code, that HTTP error status code, is 500. Getting the same results, I'll send you the EL syntax, the last 2 lines. With auto completion, I think things should be easy. Okay, so this was your couple of attributes. But now I have a statement to make. Listen to this. Typically, we add a centralized one error handler page, but there can be so many other JSPs where the error can be caused. For example, look at the example. Where is that? Validate.jsp. Suppose I make a mistake here, name 123. So what will be the value of username? Null. And when I try to access this users.get null or whatever, I mean, you might get a null pointer. So if I want to do the centralized error handling, which is the attribute of the page directive, I'll have to add here. If I want to continue with the centralized error handling, error page. Everyone understands me? So if you have dozens of pages, couple of pages, in every page, you will have to add which attribute is error page or error page? Answer is error page. Isn't that tedious? So I'm giving you a shortcut where a one instruction, one tag will be applicable to all the pages in the in that web application. So do systematically with me. Remove this. Go to test4.jsp and remove it. Okay. So remove that error page. Is error page is still there, but remove that error page. Go to your client side and you can say, and we are back to entire stack trace. Done that much? So the moment you remove that error page, you're back to entire stack trace. So now what is the solution? Solution is, instead of writing, I think I mentioned it in my readme, I'm not sure. So instead of putting that error page tag in all the JSPs, open the web.xml and configure the error page there. So open your web.inf, web.xml, and you have seen servlet deployment tags, you've seen welcome file, you've seen session configuration tag. Add a comment here. This is your error page configuration. And the name of the tag itself is error page. Add that. And inside error page, now you have two options. Just say control space. Either you can supply the error code such as 500, 400, 404, etc. and write the then supply the location. But the approach which I'm showing you is I'll directly give the exception type. So which is the super class of all catchable, handleable exceptions? Give a fully qualified name, java.lang.exception. And then you supply here itself a location of your error handler page. So what is the name of our error handler page? Error underscore handler. But if you give it here, the web.xml syntax doesn't like it, because here you have to supply the absolute location. So here, when I say absolute, when you add slash, what is slash mapped to? Context root. And whatever you add in the web app is nothing but your context root. So here, when you supply the location, web container will search for this centralized common error handling page under the root, save it, and check if you can say Control Shift F for formatting. I'll send you this so that you're having any problem in XML, you should not waste your time. All this is exam objective. Whatever I'm taking in JSP is largely an exam objective. You'll not use it in projects. Okay, so done. But the small reminder is, if you touch the XML, the changes are not applicable automatically. So if you just say refresh, you get the same stack trace. So what is it you'll have to do, guys? If you touch your XML, to reflect those changes, you'll have to restart, reload the application. So go here, right click, run as, run on server, finish. It'll ask you to restart. Actually, restart is not required. Reloading the application also helps. But anyway, it says restart. And tell me, are we back to centralized error handling? In short, is it working with the XML tag of a error page? So this was like one of the things I wanted to mention. Continue with her readme. Now, this is your, okay, there's another important attribute. What is the name of the page directives attribute? Is thread safe. So write it down somewhere. This is your reading homework. Okay. Why? Because, see guys, anything when you talk in threads, take it from me. It is 100% a popular question. People want to test your understanding clarity in threads. But if I start explaining, it will take me easily 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So make a note. I'm not going to mention it in the today's assignment and all. You can do that much. Read it, keep it read, and tomorrow morning, one of you should remind me that we have to discuss is thread safe. But I'm telling you, if you have not read it, you'll not understand it. So do this reading homework. It's just a 2-minute read. And come prepared. Come prepared means you'll understand the moment we start discussing it. So is thread safe is a page directive attribute having a Boolean value. Read more and we'll discuss more tomorrow. Is the reading homework clear to everyone? I've already given the whole details. You just have to spend your 2 minutes time and go through it. Remind me tomorrow to take it. Now, so, okay, I'll just open the overview diagram of yesterday. So that will give you an idea of where we are types. Here. So what we have discussed so far is JSP comments, server side, client side, all JSP implicit objects. When I say JSP implicit object in the middle of night, you know I'm talking about request, response, out session, etc., which are accessible to scriptlets and expressions. Then we had discussed entirely completely today all different scripting elements in the EL syntax and EL implicit object. And just recently, I told you about URL rewriting and all that. And we covered the important attributes of a page directive. So now I'm discussing the next directive, which is include. So include appears in 2 places. So again, a popular question. One is include directive. And after the break, when we really start, actually when you start understanding, appreciating JSP when you start understanding, when you learn JSP actions, which will happen after the break. So later you will see there is an include action also, there is an include directive also. So currently we are discussing include directive. Read. Read it completely. Completely means 2 lines. I'll explain. So let me start explaining. You read along with me. The moment you say percent at the rate, it is a beginning of a directive. What is the name of the directive we are looking at? Include. There's only one attribute here. What is the name of the include directive attribute? File. And what is that file including? Name of the URI path, basically URI of the page whose contents you want to include. But the most important word is, of course, when you say include, the contents are included. But the question is when the contents are included. In the translation phase, compilation phase, or runtime phase? Answer is in front of you. Translation phase. So after a while, as in after a break, when I discuss the include action, the major difference is include action is nothing but request dispatchers include. So tell me, when I talk about include action, is as in request dispatcher include, when will be the contents included? At runtime, okay, at translation time, compilation time, or runtime? I'm talking about request dispatchers include scenario. No clue, no idea? Okay, runtime is the correct answer. You remember how we discussed it in last week? Yeah. When you say rd.include, I'm revising servlets, the web container stops is wrong word, suspends, pauses the execution and calls that do get do post method of the other servlet. Here it will be JSP service. So all that happens in the runtime. So that is your include action. Currently, I'm discussing include directive. And what is that page scope and all? You'll understand it in a while. So use case. What do you use this include directive for? Typically for including static contents, headers, footers, menus, background images, whatever. I mean, whatever is the non-changing static content, you can use the include directive. But is it allowed? I mean, using include, can you also include the dynamic content such as servlets, JSPs and all? Answer is yes. But main usage is static content. So, but the trick questions and the main thing is for, I mean, people ask you for dynamic more. So how to do that? Suppose we write a 1.jsp. How do you include the contents of 2.jsp? Percent at the rate include and file is 2.jsp. So this kind of a thing we are going to try and stop right after. So what we are testing is the include directive. So open your index page, please. And let's add a link. Add a link. So now I'm in between test 4. So guys, I don't like this in between. So I'll call it as test 1. And you also refactor, rename it as test 1. Looks weird. Suddenly test 4. So I changed it. And here I'm making it as test 2. And the hypertext is, what is that? Testing include directive. I just cleaned up a little bit. I called it as test 1. I'm calling it as test 2. And accordingly renamed. So when client clicks on this link, next request will take him to, the next request will be submitted to test2.jsp. So let's write test2.jsp. Web app, new JSP. This. Reach here. Tell me whenever you reach. I'll continue. Those who are not typing along should focus on understanding and try such things in the today's lab session. By the way, I'm going to again hijack today's lab session. You know what I mean by that. Of course, I'll give you time to revise, but after that, we are going to do some things. Otherwise, your hands-on will never complete. And the way the days are, numbered, we have to means it is better if I start hibernate tomorrow. So then I'll really get good amount of time to spend on your project technologies. In short, be mentally prepared. We are going to do some parallel coding in the lab session for giving you some practice in JSP. Just a side note. Okay, so where are we? Here. So let us add. This is your page, which is test 2. So quickly add a instance variable. The moment I say adding an instance variable in a JSP, you have to have a declaration block. You can have instance variable, static variable, anything. So I'm just adding this string message, a test message. Okay. So I don't know whether you heard me or you understood me at all. This is nothing but an instance variable in the translated JSP. What will be the name of the translated JSP as far as Tomcat is concerned? Test2 underscore JSP. And where will this message, where will this, what is it called, variable appear? Within JSP service or outside? Everyone should know it by now. Outside. It is like like we used to write employee class, ID, name, salary. Here it is. Can I add the static member? Yes. Try it out. So this is your instance variable. Now open a scriptlet. This is to make your understanding interesting. And let us create a local variable. When I say local variable, you know what I mean is method local variable. So let me add something, another message. You'll understand what I'm saying. Weird. Okay, so anyone wants to tell me where will you see this particular string in the translated page? Within JSP service or outside? Within JSP service. So that makes it method local variable within which method I'm talking about? Your lifecycle method. Whatever you write in a scriptlet or in an expression or whatever EL syntax appears in JSP service. Got it so far? Now create page. Yesterday I showed you the attributes and the scopes and all. So create a page scope attribute. I don't care which name, which value, just give me that. I am interested in seeing how do you do it. How will you create a page scoped attribute? Line number 17. We did it yesterday, so I hope you remember or you understand. Which method I want to use. I mean, which class is which method, obviously. Absolutely correct. Page context dot set attribute. So page context. This is the only implicit object which is accessible to EL syntax also, scriptlets also, expression also. So you can access it from everywhere. And you have a method here, something, name and some value. Okay. So I'm doing some things. I mean, you'll know it in a minute. Okay, in 2 minutes, right? So what does it have declared? Instance variable, a method local variable, and a page scope attribute. So answer my next question. Will any of it, will it be accessible from some other page? Message, another message, and NM. Will it be, can I ever access it from yet another page? The moment I step outside the page, will any of it be accessible or inaccessible? You've seen it yesterday. Of course, inaccessible. You know, that is my opening statement. Now, let us include some page. So how do I include some page? Currently, include directive. So but the moment I say directive, start with %@. After this, I want to include, and the name of the directive is include. You can say control space, and it will tell you which is the only attribute it supports. File. We are in which file? test2.jsp. So include test3.jsp. Learn with example always. Of course, there will be a red cross and error and all because we have not yet written test3.jsp. I'll send you this. I'll send you this page. What was that? test2.jsp, so that you don't make a mistake, because otherwise the point will be lost. Remember? test2.jsp. So tell me, which is the next page we have to write? The included page. What is the name of the included page? test3.jsp. So we're back, new, and the test3.jsp. Okay. So now here, let's give it a try. And here I want to access the instance variable. Instance variables, method local variables, easily accessible, syntax wise JSP expression. So here you don't use for attributes, for calling methods on Java Beans and all, we'll use EL syntax. Here, let me be simple. So what is that method name? Variable name, instance variable name, message. Okay. Then I'm trying to display the local variable, method local variable, right? And that name was another message. Okay. And now finally, like we did yesterday, I want to also display the value of the page scoped attribute. So for accessing the values, which is an easier syntax, I can use anything, but easiest is EL syntax. So $ curly braces, the first map in which the container search, the name of the map is page scope, and the attribute name is, I guess, NM. Okay, so this reach here. Again, if you want, I can send you this much, so that you will be fast here. I mean, we can take a break fast. Okay, so obvious question, obvious answer. When you click on what is it called here, not this one, our index page. When I click on testing include directive, you are including this page. So anyone wants to tell me, will all of three things, will they be accessible? Will you get the values, or will you start getting compiler errors such as message not found, another message not found, blank values? In short, values or no values. You'll get the values or you won't get the values. Guess. You're not supposed to run it. You're supposed to guess it. You understood my question? Will you be able to access the method local variable, the instance variable, and the page scoped attributes from this test3.jsp, from the included page? Yes or no? Will you or will you not? Answer is you will. And then you step back and then you understand, and then we stop in a minute. So I hope you have done it. Ignore the errors. IDE doesn't understand. So ignore IDE errors and you test it out. Okay, so I'm just saying back, refresh. You can see the another link. And as already discussed, some of you already answered me. I am able to access the instance variable, which is supposed to be so-called private. The method local variable, which has the narrowest scope, current method only, as well as page scope attribute. Everyone got the same result? And the answer, the reason behind that is one word. And that one word is, the contents are included, the contents of the test3.jsp are merged, inline included, not later, not at the compilation time, neither at the compilation nor at the request processing time. It is at the translation time. So when we open that internal folder, that work folder where all the pages are kept, will you see, what will you see? Will you see test2 underscore JSP.java, test3 underscore JSP.java, both or neither? You understood what my question is? I said, when I show you the translated folder, I mean that work folder, what will you see? Answer is you will see only test2 underscore JSP.java, and all these contents are literally cut, pasted, copy pasted, merged, included right at the translation time. So what does it indicate? Does that mean that I'm starting a new page, or is it a continuation of the very same page? Answer is, it is the continuation of the original page. And not even original page, the method, that JSP service itself continues. You will see it in a minute. So naturally, whatever is the method local variable, instance variable, page director, I'm so sorry, page attribute, everything is visible. So just take a last minute, go to your, what is it called, workspace, and search here for index underscore JSP.java. It will take you to that folder, right click, open file location, and see which one. So I have deployed only one. If you have deployed multiple, you will get multiple matches. So that is why I suggest keep only one. So temp0 is our Tomcat server. What is the Tomcat specific container name where all the JSPs are kept? Work. And then you have Catalina localhost, etc. You check. What is it you are looking at? Do you have test2 underscore JSP? You have. But do you have test3 underscore JSP? You don't. So as a last minute, just open, don't open class, just open that test2 underscore JSP, where I'll ask you precise questions. Just a second. Okay. No, which one? Yeah, sorry. So let me ask you quickly, because I know I'm extending your session. Where have we declared this message? In test2 or test3? 2 or 3? In test2, you know that. Where have we declared? Come down to JSP service, please. This is our JSP service underscore JSP service, where we have declared, this method local variable and the page scope attribute in test2 or in test3. Everyone knows. Keep that JSP in parallel. Of course, test2. But now you see something. Tell me, what are these contents coming from? Test2 or test3? You can see it yourself. Of course, this is test3. This is what I meant. And can you see this? It is a continuation of the same page. Forget same page, same method JSP service. And here, if the instance variable is in the same page, of course, I'll be able to access. A method local variable, I'm in the same method, of course, I can access. And if you want to access that page scope variable via EL syntax, your container does something special. I mean, it uses internally so many things. So page context, implementation class, etc. So the point is, here, when you use the include directive, when are the contents included? Translation time, compilation time, or runtime? Of course, translation time. So that included page, will it be able to access each and everything about from your original page, including instance variable, method locals, and page scope attributes? 100% yes. But guys, if you have not thought of it in so much detail, or if you don't know it, if you just get an exam code 1.jsp, 2.jsp, 100% you'll pick up the option not accessible. So this was all about include directive. Let's stop here and take a hour's break and resume at 11:15. And that is when we will actually enter. You'll say you have been saying this, but I really mean it this time. If you want to get a feel of, actually something's different. Till now, you must be getting a feel that I was able to do it in a servlet. Of course, everything you will be able to do it in a servlet. But when I show you, when I take you to JSP standard actions and later JSTL, you will see it took us so much of Java code versus complete reduction in Java code. is what you're going to excel. I mean, is what you're going to experience. So that is what, yeah, Shubham, I'll send you the 8.1 updated file in a minute. So that JSP actions and Java beans and the whatever, all after, all at 11:15. Let me just make a updated zip here. Java EE, and try it out. In case you don't understand anything, ask me questions after we resume, and I'll try to answer as many as possible. So what we have is, yeah, I'm sending you this day 8.1 zip. You can download and extract. That will be all. See you at 11:15. You're most welcome.